Time to play the game. Time to play the game!
Shit, yeah. Welcome back to There's the Bell with Max Hawkins and Cody Butler. Cody, this is going to be our biggest show we've done so far. And why?
The Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble, my second favorite wrestling event of all year. I got to put WrestleMania number one, but Royal Rumble, man, I love it every time it comes around. I look forward to it. You know, I'm so glad I don't have to choose between the Super Bowl and the Royal Rumble. I'm so glad the Royal Rumble is always the weekend of the Pro Bowl, because I definitely ain't watching that garbage. Yeah. Anyway, how you been, man?
Doing good. Long week. Ready to wind down. Watch the Royal Rumble on Sunday. A little MMA on Saturday night.
That's right.
It's been a good weekend.
Well, let's get started off good with this podcast, man. We know we like doing it, so let's get going. Now, Cody, before we jump into our top stories, by the way, are going to be a little light this week because we are going to spend a big part of the podcast on the Royal Rumble. But I do want to say we forgot to mention something last week, and what I felt like was one of our top stories. Kurt Angle, the Olympic hero, 1996 gold medal winner, wrestling legend, has been announced that he's going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this spring, the night before WrestleMania, I believe. Friday or Saturday.
Awesome induction and very, very well deserved. Kurt Angle, I mean, I never really was a fan of him because I didn't like his character he played, but I respect the man as a wrestler, and he's done some great things for pro wrestling.
Absolutely. Kurt Angle, one of a kind. There's been rumors about if he'll actually wrestle or not. I don't think he has to. Just seeing, he's been in TNA since 2006.
Yeah.
So he's been gone for 10 years now. This will be coming up on 10 years. In fact, this is gonna really shock you, but he was in TNA longer than he was in WWE. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. That does seem kind of crazy.
It does. He debuted in the WWE in 1999, towards the back end of 1999, and he left in spring of 2006, or summer of 2006, not long after WrestleMania 22 that year in Chicago. And he's been in TNA ever since, really. So, 10 years almost.
If it's me picking rather the person to induct him into the Hall of Fame, I'd let John Cena induct him. Being he ushered John Cena into the WWE.
That was one of the...
John Cena first started.
Absolutely. That was one of the many things that he did. I think that would be great. I'm more of in line with letting the inductee inside who they want to induct him. And Kurt Angle is going on record saying that he wants Stone Cold Steve Austin to induct him because he says...
Another great choice.
Absolutely. He said Stone Cold made his career. So, hey, man, whoever it is, but just great to see Kurt back. In fact, Kurt did come out and say, there's been a lot of rumblings he's going to be a surprise entering the Royal Rumble this week, this Sunday, and we'll get into the Royal Rumble. But Kurt has actually come out on a TMZ interview saying he will not be participating in the Royal Rumble. However, Kurt Angle was scheduled for an independent show this Saturday, and out of nowhere, he was all of a sudden pulled from the independent show, from the booking.
Well, and I'll tell you something.
Maybe he'll show up. When you hear that dun 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 dun, he won't be chanting, "You suck" this time, though. Let's get into our top stories. Like I said, this is going to be a little light. Let's start off with MMA. Well, we can't really talk about MMA without talking about what happened this past Saturday night at Bellator 170. Tito Ortiz defeated Chael Sonnen by rear naked choke, I believe.
It was a form of it. It was definitely a choke. I heard him say it to me it looked like a crank. But
right.
It was definitely more of a choke, Chael said. I mean, he said he was going out.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I did watch it. I don't want people to think I'm reporting on it and didn't watch it. I did watch it, but I I didn't know if it was a rear naked choke or some kind of form of a crank or some other kind of choke.
I mean, the position of it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it wasn't from back. It was almost from the side almost.
Yeah, that's why it looked like a neck crank. But then you saw him start changing colors, so you knew it was choking. You know, it was cutting off blood.
Right. Well, regardless, he choked Chael Sonnen out, and that was his retirement fight. There really was no love loss on Tito's part. Of course, these guys they exchanged into a war of words leading up to this fight, especially Chael Sonnen. And we're not going to get into it. If you want to see it, it's on our Facebook page. Some of the remarks they made against each other. Were you happy with the outcome? I was surprised, to be honest with you.
I was very surprised. I thought if it went to the ground, Chael would have a gigantic advantage.
You know, Tito's a lot bigger than Chael.
Yeah, he is.
And
I saw Tito in person. Tito's huge.
Is he? You think he's 6'2"?
Oh, every bit of it.
Okay, but he's solid as
If not bigger.
a rock. Chael, a big guy too. Chael looked pretty big when he was at middleweight, but since he's been at light heavyweight, which I guess is what he walks around at, he looks more.
Chael looked kind of sloppy to me, to be honest.
Like body wise.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like the 40-year-old dad at the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's what he loved when he came out there. I said, man, he looks bad.
Well, I think it's because he wasn't quite as big as Tito. Now, he didn't look as good as he did whenever he was in UFC, but he hadn't been there in, 3 years?
Yeah. And when he was interviewed, he said, you know, it wasn't hurt. Wasn't anything like that. He said, to me, he said it was ring rust. He said he went in there and everything was faster than he remembered, and because it's been a while since he'd been in there, and he said it was just too fast-paced.
Yeah. You know, they were supposed to have Chael scheduled for more fights, but I don't know what's going to happen with that. This is Tito's last fight. He did a great send-off and everything, and, you know, had his son in there, left his gloves in the ring for the last time, and he said, don't worry, this will be my last time fighting. So that is good for Tito. I was happy to see Tito win. I was rooting for Chael a little bit just because I'm an American gangster fan, but I was happy to see Tito go out with a win. But where does?
I mean, he's a pioneer of the sport.
Oh, no question about it. He's almost a guy that gets forgotten about a lot sometimes.
He does. I mean, just because he lost to Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture and a couple of those guys, but he was a dominant force in the light heavyweight division for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, and he messed over Ken Shamrock several times.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah. Where does Chael go from here? Do we even want to speculate?
Chael has, I think, 5 fights signed at Bellator.
He's 39 years old.
Yeah. But Bellator doesn't care if you're 70 as long as you get out there and fight.
No, and I tell you what, I wanna congratulate Bellator because this was an actual good card that they put on. I mean, the fights before were good. This was a legitimate main event they could make. This wasn't like we talked about this on the last podcast. This wasn't Dada 5000 versus Kimbo Slice, or even a 50-year-old Ken Shamrock taking on a 45-year-old Royce Gracie. You know, this was a legitimate fight they could make. It was a good card, and I was impressed.
And Paul Daly, man, with that flying knee, or switch knee, rather.
Did you see the guy's eye, the cut?
Yeah, that was vicious.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Setting up him to fight Roy McDonald will have to. I mean, that's going to be a war.
Yeah, oh, definitely. That's main event caliber too. But I look for Bellator to make more of these Chael Sonnen versus Tito Ortiz type fights, and I'm not specifically talking about with Chael or anybody else, but just the more of the guys who've kind of moved, definitely past their prime, but it kind of moved on from UFC, but still have big drawing power, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they got a couple of good fights set up. They got Fedor and Matt Mitrione coming up in February, and then Gizmo and Rampage in March.
A guy like Josh Barnett just rings true for Bellator, I think. I mean, they would be smart to sign him.
I agree if he still wants to fight, unless he wants to go the pro wrestling route, you know.
I was just throwing out a name right there. Anything else you want to say?
He could definitely live in Bellator. You know what I mean?
Oh no,
for sure. He can't survive in the UFC anymore. His time in the UFC is over with. But I think he could live in Bellator. He's got a good enough ground game, and he's still strong enough to where he could do something.
Absolutely. You want to say anything else about this Ortiz signing fight, or anything about Bellator before we move on to the next topic?
I think you pretty much covered it. I think think ring rust played a big issue in Chael's part. But great send-off by Tito. Wish him well.
Top story number 2, Daniel Cormier and Anthony Rumble Johnson is officially set for UFC 210. This was supposed to go down at 208. It was supposed to go down earlier, but it was they pushed it back because DC had an injury. But it's officially set.
Had a groin injury.
Right. It's officially set for UFC 210 in Buffalo, New York on April 8th of this year. We'll be looking forward to that. Anything you want to say about that? I'm glad to see they made this fight.
I am too, and I think it's a lot harder fight for DC than what he's thinking. I listened to him a couple of days ago saying the only person he has to sit there and break down and watch tape on to see what they're going to do is Jones. Everybody else, he said Anthony Johnson punches hard, he kicks hard. He said so do all the rest of the light heavyweights in the division. I think Rumble Johnson poses a little bit more threat than all the rest of the light heavyweights in the division.
So do I. And you know, their first fight, they fought before and DC beat him, and that was essentially the interim light heavyweight championship, but it became the real light heavyweight championship when John Jones was stripped of it. That was the title fight.
Correct.
And
I didn't get to see DC fight in New Orleans. He's supposed to fight Ryan Bader because John Jones got in his little pickle, and they pulled DC to fight Rumble Johnson for the interim belt.
so that fight ended fairly early, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe it was second round.
Okay. Rumble was getting some shots in there, but DC took it to the ground and does what he does best and ended up choking him out.
DC took one of the hardest punches I've ever seen from Rumble Johnson.
He's got a chin. I'll have to say
It
that.
knocked him all the way across the octagon. I'm talking about that you could hear it on TV.
Well, Rumble will certainly catch you. It's going to be interesting, and you know, I think we should break down this fight more as the event comes closer. But it's just, I'm glad to see.
It's going to be more of the same. He got to try to weather that storm, and if Rumble Johnson had better cardio in that first fight, it'd have been a whole lot better of a fight because he gassed.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier put the pressure on him up against the cage and finally just put him down on the ground and laid on top of him, got him in position and choked him out.
Well, Cormier trains with Cain Velasquez, who's been notorious for being able to go 5 rounds like it's nothing,
Yeah.
So
right.
he has to have good cardio, I would think. Let's move on to top story number 3 for the MMA. Johnny Hendricks has officially come out and said he's not sure about his MMA future. I kind of just threw this in there because we were a little light on top stories today. No disrespect to Johnny Hendricks, but I just feel like we've kind of known this for a while.
Yeah, I mean, he's been saying a few things. He said before that last fight that this might be his last fight when he fought Neil Magny. Fight, I think, we both discussed it on one podcast. I felt like he won that fight.
I felt like he won that fight too. I mean, yeah.
He's scheduled to fight Hector Lombard, I believe. So I don't know if he'd be interested.
At middleweight, correct?
He gives it up.
At middleweight, right?
Yeah, correct.
Well, some people know when it's their time to go. So if his heart's not in it, definitely don't get in that cage because
that's right.
That's not where you need to be. Let's move on to pro wrestling and a couple top stories before we really get into the Royal Rumble. Top story number 1. We talked about this guy on a previous podcast. Kenny Omega from New Japan Pro Wrestling has officially announced that he is staying put. He will not be coming over to the WWE. He has signed a new contract to stay in New Japan. I know you both talked about this, and you said you didn't really know too much about the guy, but this was a big opportunity for WWE to throw some money out of this guy and sign him, and they possibly did. He might just like it better where he's staying there, but he's a superstar.
I watched some of his matches on YouTube after we talked about it that day, and man, that guy is amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing on the mic. He's amazing in the ring.
To me, we said it best the previous podcast. He's really like all 3 of the Shield guys combined into one. He can talk, he can wrestle, and he's got a nice look.
Yeah, I mean I watched a match where AJ Styles, the leader of the Bullet Club, he took over and now jumped AJ Styles.
Oh, really?
It was kind of reminded me of the Shield, with Seth Rollins.
Yeah. So that was when AJ left or something?
Yeah, I believe he was leaving and coming to WWE.
Okay. Well,
how they turn on people, but I mean, the Shield didn't turn on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins turned on the Shield, but it was kind of the same thing. I mean,
Right.
you had Gallows and Anderson and all of them beating on AJ Styles.
Man, this is I do think we'll see this guy in WWE one day because I do think if you're good enough, that's ultimately where you end up at. Very few people have ultimately ended up there. Sting was one, and he eventually, late in his career, came over. Had a couple matches, but there's not that many people who are that good that don't end up in the number one yard, which is WWE.
Yeah, I don't know if you and I were talking about it. I heard it on the radio. He said, correct me if I'm wrong, that he wants to be one of the ones that does everything that a WWE superstar can't do everywhere else.
Before he goes over?
No, instead of going over.
I didn't see that, no.
He said he wants to be a legend that doesn't go to the WWE like everybody else. He wants to do everything without going to WWE, show him he doesn't need them.
Well, kudos to him. I think ultimately if he wants to make the most money, though, that's where he needs to go.
Oh, yeah, and you never know. Maybe he tried to go over there when he was younger and they, put him down.
True. Could very well have happened that way. Top story number 2, and really the last thing we talk about before we get into the Royal Rumble. NXT TakeOver San Antonio Saturday night, the night before the Royal Rumble. Headlined by Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bobby Roode for the NXT Championship. I know you don't follow NXT quite like I do. No, it should be. These takeover cards are always fun, man. They really are.
Yeah, they are. And Bobby Roode's a hell of a performer.
Absolutely.
As is Nakamura.
Oh, hell yeah. And, that's going to be a barn buster of a main event, man. I will say this. I don't watch NXT from week to week, but just from reading online and kind of looking at a few things here and there, NXT was really plucked of a lot of talent when the brand split happened. Finn Balor was called up. Sami Zayn was called up. A lot of the women wrestlers were called up. A lot of their staples that had made that program what it was. And it seems like they've kind of dipped off a little bit. They're still a very good program, but not as strong week to week as they once were. Still have Shinsuke Nakamura, still got Bobby Roode, still got Samoa Joe, but realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if Joe is a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble this weekend. Those guys can't stay there forever.
I wouldn't be surprised either because he's not booked on the takeover card.
Yeah, and Triple H has done a good job about going out and signing guys and replacing that talent level pool, but I think a lot of guys left at once, and it's going to take them a little while to build their program back up. And all due respect, they still are technically a breeding ground, a developmental system. They're not. They are their own show, but they're not Raw and SmackDown,
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say as wrestling fans, why Bobby Roode does so much in TNA and you don't bring him straight over to Raw or SmackDown. Just same thing with Nakamura, same thing, AJ Styles is probably the only one that didn't go through there.
Yeah.
But it's because I guess they have to conform you to what they want you to be. You know what I mean? They don't want him to be the Bobby Roode who's in TNA. They want him to be Bobby Roode that's in the WWE. Same thing like Eric Young. Same thing.
He's over in WWE. He's over in NXT too. And I agree with that.
Great performer.
Oh, yeah. Here's another reason why I don't think they do it. NXT has become a hot brand that sells. So if they don't have a good star, they need to Nakamura didn't really need to go to NXT. He could have gone straight to Raw or SmackDown, but he's a big draw, so why not put him in NXT? Because they're going to sell just as many tickets.
Yeah, as long as he's getting paid the same money, I'm sure they don't care if they're wrestling NXT or wherever, as long as the money's right.
Right, and if they
what they love.
Let him stay there for a year and then bring him up when you want to. But again, in Raw and SmackDown, not so much now since they've switched, they've done the brand split. But again, the main event scene can kind of get muddy sometimes too. So if you bring in a Bobby Roode straight from TNA to Raw or SmackDown or wherever, chances are he might linger in the mid card for a little longer than he probably should.
they did with Bo Dallas. I mean, Bo Dallas in NXT was tearing it up. And get him to
look at a guy like Neville.
Main card, he does nothing.
Look at a guy like Neville, a guy we've talked about a lot. I mean, look at what he was in NXT versus, I mean, he's not competing for world titles yet. So
The Ascension, same way, in the tag team division. They were dominant in NXT. And now they jokes, you know?
yeah.
Pretty much the only guy in NXT that came over there and shined just like he did in NXT.
Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens. That's it.
Well, I would say Sami Zayn too. I liked what they've done with him, and he always kind of had that underdog personality. Finn Balor, to me, is going to be.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about Finn because he's been hurt.
But yeah, he's been hurt, so he wasn't on the main card for about a month before he had to sit out. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into the Royal Rumble before we start off. Just Royal Rumble. Any great memories or anything you just want to throw out before we start talking about the actual card? Anything?
Watching Shawn Michaels win it that one year. I remember Ric Flair when he won it.
Stone Cold Steve Austin winning it 3 times.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Were you watching when Cena came back from injury really early and it sounded like the ground shook in the Garden?
It was number 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. The look on Triple H's face is priceless.
Yeah. And the crowd just erupts. And there's another one I like is when Undertaker won his first Royal Rumble match the year before that. The last 2 men. Can you guess them?
I don't remember.
Well, of course it was Taker because he won, but take a stab at who the last guy was. It would have been before WrestleMania 23.
Shawn Michaels.
You got it. And that sequence of them at the end was awesome. And how they Taker, of course, ended up eliminating him or whatever, but the drama that those 2 guys built, that was a fun one.
I watched one when Batista won the other day, and they threw Shawn Michaels over, and he lost it like he was going crazy. I can't remember which one that was.
That I think Edge actually won it that year.
You're right. Edge threw Batista over. You're exactly right.
Yeah, that was the year that Shawn.
What's that?
That was the year that Shawn put his career on the line against Undertaker at WrestleMania. That was that whole storyline.
Right. I got you. They didn't win the Royal Rumble to fight him to get him at WrestleMania, so they wanted to do it that way.
Right. Another one that I remember watching, finally, and I've watched it a couple times, is the one from 2005 where Batista and John Cena, they botched it, and they both went over the top rope at the same time.
That's when McMahon blew his quad, didn't it?
Yeah, I think he blew both of them, huh?
Yeah, he's sitting down in the middle of the ring.
He blew one trying to get up, trying to slide into the ring, then he blew the other one trying to stand up, and he just sat in the ring. That was good. But anyway,
they
man.
All played it off really good. Everyone up in the ring.
Oh yeah, I bet asses got chewed out when they got back there.
Oh yeah, big time.
But it all worked out. Both John Cena and Batista actually went on to win world titles a couple months later at WrestleMania. Well, let's get into it. We'll do a little preview, little predictions of these matches. Let's start off with the pre-show. I'm assuming what this will be probably the first match. SmackDown Women's Champion Alexa Bliss, the returning Mickie James, who I'm glad to see back. Natalya teaming up versus Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, and Naomi. Big thing right here is Mickie James is back in the WWE, man.
Yeah, she'll definitely bring a spark to that women's division.
Yeah, you know, I like what they're doing with the women, both on Raw and on SmackDown, but there's a little bit more star power on Raw.
Most definitely.
Than there is on SmackDown, because you got Charlotte, you got Sasha, you got Bayley, you got Nia Jax, who they're bringing up. And they brought up a lot of those NXT women to start up SmackDown's women division. But I've liked what they're doing, and Mickie James is going to be a great add to it. She was awesome back in the mid to late 2000s, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Throw out your prediction. You think Mickey's team's going to win?
Who's she on the team with? Natalya?
And Alexa Bliss, who's the women's champion.
Oh, yeah. I got to go with Natalya anytime she wrestles. my little girl says that's my girlfriend. That's what I told her a long time ago.
Oh, yeah?
I said, I got to go see my girlfriend. Showed her on TV. Every time she comes on TV, she goes, Daddy, look, your girlfriend's on TV.
Well, out of this crew, yeah, out of this crew, I think I'll go with Alexa Bliss, maybe.
I don't know, bro.
Let's move on. On this pre-show, match number 3 be, we talked about it a second ago, Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks. They've kind of made Nia to look like a monster the past month or so.
She is.
Yeah, they're trying to make her the Braun Strowman of the women. And Sasha is currently injured, in air quotes. She's not actually injured, but in storyline wise, she's injured. And I'm assuming this will kind of be to see who's the number 1 contender to the Raw Women's Championship. I think Sasha is going to take a step back for a little while, and I think it's smart if they give Nia Jax the win. It doesn't really hurt Sasha because she's technically injured. So if she loses, hey, she was hurt.
And she's been the champion twice, right?
I lost count when they were flip flopping the championships every other month.
Yeah.
Or every month.
Twice. I think she's been the champion twice.
Yeah. So you going with Nia?
What was that? Yeah, I'm going with Nia. What was that? The female wrestler. She was either Chinese or Japanese years ago.
Gail Kim.
No, the big girl. She was huge.
Awesome Kong?
No. I know you said. I can't remember. It's gonna bother me.
What year? Around what years it would have been?
Oh, probably 90s.
Oh shit, I don't. Bull Nakano?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's who she reminds me of.
Nia Jax.
Minus the hair gel. But the way they make her wrestle, they show her to be kind of like Bull.
Match number 3 on the pre-show, the final pre-show match. We talked about them earlier. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, members of the Bullet Club in New Japan, will be taking on Sheamus and Cesaro for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships. There will be 2 referees for this match, Cody.
Really?
Yeah, they've kind of run a program where Gallows and Anderson have been picking up some cheap wins by cheating or different antics for the past month or so over Sheamus and Cesaro, both in tag team matches and singles matches. So they're going to give them 2 refs as kind of like a storyline thing. So I think there'll be plenty more shenanigans. But it's going to be interesting with 2 refs, and Sheamus and Cesaro are great performers, and Gallows and Anderson are great performers too. So I'm kind of looking forward to this match.
I think it's going to be a great match. All 4 of them are great performers. I think it's time to put a title on Gallows and Anderson there.
So you're going with that Gallows and Anderson?
Yeah, I am.
I wouldn't be disappointed if they did that, but I think that they haven't done these guys any favors with booking since they brought them in. And I think their time will come, but I think they're going to hold it off a little bit and give Sheamus and Cesaro a little bit longer run with the title. Because I'll tell you what, I've liked their run. And I think it'll kind of be some kind of ironic thing this weekend that even though there's 2 referees, maybe Sheamus and Cesaro will cheat and get the win. I could see something like that happening. But either way, I'm not going to be disappointed.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, that would be kind of a good deal to keep the feud going with a cheap win from Cesaro and Sheamus.
That's right. Keep the feud going and get Gallows and Anderson back hot because they could really be the big bullies of the tag team division that I think they should be. I think that's how they should book these guys.
I agree.
Let's move on to this. Will be actually on the main card. So we're going the actual card, not the pre-show anymore for the Royal Rumble. First match, I'm looking forward to this one too. Neville versus Rich Swann for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Neville is really wrestling with a new sense of purpose and character and everything since he's returned and really turned heel. Really liked his work. I think this is what the Cruiserweight division needs. I think they were missing a top star like Neville could be. And I'm going with Neville, man. I like Rich Swann, but I think Neville's so hot you can't really not justify putting the belt on him,
Yeah, I'm going with Neville too. Neville's an amazing performer, and like you said, the resurgence since the injury, since he turned heel, man, has been amazing for him. I think you put the belt on him and let him move forward with the Cruiserweight division. Like you and I were talking when we went to SmackDown that time. I wasn't going to stay anyway because I had to work the next day, but even if I could have, I might not have because Neville wasn't wrestling.
Right, on 205 Live, right? You're talking about 205 Live, the little show they do after SmackDown that's for the cruiserweights?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And he's a guy that can really be the anchor of that cruiserweight division. He's a big name, and they got to build some of these other guys up. The storytelling with this feud itself has been pretty good, but a lot of the other guys who they throw on Raw or whatever, Cedric Alexander, Noam Dar, T.J. Perkins, Brian Kendrick, all really great performers, but they don't really have any motivation as far as storyline purposes go. So this has been a good feud right here, Rich Swann and Neville. The WWE needs to try to give these cruiserweights and more of these cruiserweights an actual storyline like they've done with Neville and Rich Swann.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of everybody you said except Brian Kendrick.
Really? You don't like Brian Kendrick? The Brian Kendrick.
I would rather watch paint than rather watch him wrestle.
Why is that, man?
I don't know. He just doesn't. I mean, to me, when he comes on there, it's always dull.
See, that's kind of
made him look good in a feud they had.
Well, see, I kind of thought the opposite. I thought out of those two that Perkins was the more. They're both magnificent in the ring, I think, but I thought Perkins was the more dull type character. I didn't really know what his character was.
I don't know. I like T.J. Perkins got a little pep to it to me. I like watching him.
Let's move on to another match on the main card. Where the hell do I begin with this one? Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens in a no DQ match for the WWE Universal Championship. Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens' best friend, will be suspended high above the ring in a shark cage. The booking's been all over the place with this feud.
Yeah, and I don't know who thought of a shark cage idea.
They actually did that in NXT.
I like it.
I like it too. They actually did that in NXT on the last Takeover special. I can't remember what the match was, but it was something to that effect. On big bold letters on the paper that I'm looking at on our little rundown, I have typed booking, not good. I'm a fan of all these guys involved. I just think that they haven't booked Kevin Owens real well since he's won that title. And of course, Roman Reigns' booking is all over the place a lot of times. I just really hope these guys go out tomorrow and put on a damn good show. And put on a damn good match. And of course, Jericho is awesome. He's going to be there. Suspended in that shark cage. I'm sure he'll find a way to get out one way or the other.
Yeah, some kind of way.
Yeah. Do you want to say your piece about this and give your predictions?
I'm going to take Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is going to take the belt off of Kevin Owens. I said that after he lost the U.S. title to Jericho. I can't see him not putting the belt on him.
Is that what you think should happen?
Yeah, until Finn Balor comes back. I do.
See, I have a different...
Now's the time where you try to make a deal where Jericho and Owens feud each other.
Well,
and now's the time to split them up. Because you need to book Kevin Owens more like the old Kevin Owens, because where he's at now, he's kind of looking flat because Jericho's kind of taking the spotlight off of him.
Right. My thing is look, I just think the fans are going to completely shit on it if Reigns wins. If Reigns wins that belt.
No doubt.
And I mean, going back to two Royal Rumbles ago, 2015, as soon as Daniel Bryan was eliminated, they completely turned on that event right there and booed Reigns out of the building. The Rock couldn't even save the day as far as the crowd reaction went, and they loved The Rock. And then even next year, Reigns had picked up some steam with the crowd when he won that title from Sheamus on Raw, and Vince McMahon got in there and they did a bunch of stuff. Like, the crowd was actually hot for him whenever he won that belt. But by the time Royal Rumble rolled around, less than a month later, they were cheering when Triple H, who's the bad guy, threw him out the damn ring.
Yeah.
So, I think, and I'm not saying that he's not talented enough to not win the belt. And I do agree with you that there are pros and cons for Reigns winning the belt and Reigns losing the belt. I think it's a little predictable. I think, here's what I think is going to happen. I think that Reigns will probably lose again because they want to set up Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. A match that I don't think needs a title belt.
Good point.
I also believe that I'm like you. Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens are going for a feud where Chris will probably be the babyface, and that is going to be something that I'm really looking forward to because Chris has really resurged his career this year.
He has.
I mean, he's always been great.
He has in past times where he's come back. You know, this time has been a real good storyline. He's been putting good angles, and he's done a hell of a job. Ran with the ball when they gave it to him.
Yes, and I think
this is what I think with Roman Reigns. I think now will be a perfect time to turn him if you put the belt on him. If you put the belt on him, Monday Night Raw, he comes out there. Fans are booing him out the building. He gets on the microphone, tells them all to shut up. You know, and you completely turn him heel. All the way on Raw, in front of all the fans that are booing him. Everybody's hating him, watching him on TV. Now, there's no better time than now. Actually, it's really too late, to be honest with you. They should have done it a long time ago. Yeah.
No, and that's interesting, and I like that idea, Cody. I don't think they're gonna. I think one day the day will come where they turn Reigns heel. However, I think they're really gonna push for the Strowman and Reigns match, and I think Reigns has to be the babyface for that. I mean, Strowman's not gonna be the babyface.
That'd be a good feud too.
Yeah, and you know that might resurge him because Strowman gets good reactions, but fans aren't entirely on his side either. You know, and Reigns is a good worker. Here's what I think. As far as Jericho and Kevin Owens goes, I think that if you make that a title match at WrestleMania, that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, you blow the roof off of it.
Babyface Chris Jericho versus bad guy Kevin Owens, and I really don't care who wins. If Jericho wins, hell, he deserves another run with the belt. If he doesn't and just wants to put Kevin Owens over and make him look like a monster and KO still has that belt, you immediately make KO look a lot better. But both situations are different. I think we can both agree that the booking for both Reigns and Kevin Owens needs to improve going here on out.
It does. I mean, a lot of minus Braun Strowman, Raw booking has been all over the place anyway.
I agree with you. I like what they've done with Sami Zayn.
Yeah, that one too.
But I agree with you.
But a lot of that's been with Braun Strowman, you know.
Yes, I think the right word is consistent booking. Booking, because at times they book like Seth Rollins. Like, what is he even doing right now? He's just waiting around for Triple H, man. They literally don't have anything for him to do. He's being wasted right now.
Yep.
So you're going.
Interesting fact. I didn't know how old Chris Jericho was.
He's in his 40s. How old do I think he is? 44.
Yeah. 40 what?
44.
Close.
45.
Getting warmer.
He's 46?
46 years old.
I didn't know that.
I never would have dreamed that.
I mean,
it makes sense. I mean, I remember watching him on WCW when I was, a kid. But I never thought, looking at him and the way he performs, you'd never think he was almost 50.
No, absolutely not. And it looks like he could still go for several more years.
Yeah, and that makes him even more impressive, the things he's doing.
A guy that's kept up with his body big time. And he does DDP yoga too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Diamond Dallas Page. So you're going Reigns. I'm going Kevin Owens. Honestly, I think that's a toss-up right there, man. Let's move on to one of the last singles matches of the night. It's going to be the Raw Women's Championship, Bayley versus Charlotte Flair. This should be a good match.
I think it will, too. Bayley's a good performer, and so is Charlotte.
Charlotte is undefeated on pay-per-views thus far. I did
not know that.
You didn't know that? I think she continues that streak here. I think they're going to let her hold the belt until Mania, and maybe Bayley will pick up the win then.
I think so too.
But
they've been swapping around too much here lately.
Yeah, but no, Charlotte is actually undefeated on pay-per-view.
I didn't realize that.
So both looking forward to that match. We both going with Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm going with Charlotte.
Well, let's get into something that I'm really looking forward to, and I think will. Of course, the Royal Rumble is always great. Or most of the time is great, but as far as the actual matches, I think this match is going to be the best match on the card. John Cena versus AJ Styles for the WWE Heavyweight Championship.
I think so too.
The history going back from this past summer all the way to Money in the Bank and their SummerSlam match and now, they booked this really well. That I think they thought it out. They knew they could get a lot of matches out of these guys. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. This could go a lot of different ways. I think a lot of it depends on who wins the Royal Rumble as far as what this match goes like. I think if Cena wins the match, let me strike that. I think if the plan is for the Undertaker to win the Royal Rumble, I think Cena's going to win the match. Maybe if the plan is for like a guy like Finn Balor to win the Royal Rumble, maybe AJ Styles is going to win the match. AJ Styles and Finn Balor would be a hell of a match at WrestleMania.
Most definitely.
So, before you predict or say your prediction for this, do you want to just talk about how they built this up or anything like that?
I think the build-up was definitely strong. Well, SmackDown's booking has been a whole lot better than Raw's. I think we stated that already.
Been a lot more consistent, yes.
John Cena's promo this past Tuesday was phenomenal.
A+. I give that whole segment an A+.
Yeah. And AJ Styles, just looking at him and just like he was a little scared kid. He sold it perfect, too.
There was a lot of truth. That felt so real, and that's what they need to get back to doing, because that felt so real, because they had AJ come out and show the Royal Rumble poster on the big screen, and in front there were 4 people. There was Cena, Goldberg, Lesnar, and Undertaker, and then of course everybody else is scattered in the back. And all the way in the back, with half his face covered up, is AJ Styles, who's your WWE Heavyweight Champion, and he brought that up and used it in his promo against Shane McMahon. Like, y'all don't respect me, but I've beaten this guy twice, but yet he's on the front of the Royal Rumble poster. That's okay. I'll beat him again this Sunday. Like, I love that type of stuff when they take stuff that's grounded in reality and turn it into an angle.
Yeah. A la The Miz and Daniel Bryan.
Yes. Which I'm still waiting to see what the hell's going to happen with that.
Yeah, they're drawing it out.
So, you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm going to say John Cena wins this match and ties Ric Flair's record for most world title wins. That's something we didn't even talk about for the past 5 minutes.
With John Cena too.
Either way, I will not be disappointed, because I love AJ Styles and love the work that he's done. I think that the WrestleMania card will be a lot clearer with whoever wins this match, because one of these guys is going into the WrestleMania as the #1 champion in the company.
Now, let me ask you something. I never heard him say it. I know how it used to be. Now, if a guy from Raw wins the Royal Rumble, he gets a chance at the Universal title. Correct?
Well, the way they've done it in the past when they've had 2 titles, they've let them challenge for, like, if you remember correctly, when Batista won the 2005 Royal Rumble,
he got the pick.
He got the pick. You had Triple H as a World Heavyweight Champion, and then JBL as a WWE Champion, Raw, SmackDown, respectively. And then it was like they made it a storyline. Like, who's he going to pick? Is he going to fight Evolution, his own partner? Is he going to go over SmackDown and wrestle JBL? So they kind of made it a thing. I don't really think it matters. I guess theoretically they could have, just say like if Chris Jericho won the Royal Rumble this weekend. Well, yeah, he would probably wrestle Kevin Owens, and they're both Raw guys. But I really just think it's for whoever I don't think it's a must. Like, I don't think they go by that hard.
I was just wondering how they were going to do it now. I never heard it said anywhere what they were going to do with it.
Well, what do you do if a guy like Undertaker wins, who's kind of floats between both shows?
That's correct.
Is he really going to wrestle Kevin Owens or Roman Reigns, or is he going to wrestle John Cena or AJ Styles?
Yeah. I see him wrestling John Cena or AJ Styles.
Yeah, that's what I think too. That's interesting though that you asked that. I don't know if it really doesn't matter. They can have whoever they want wrestle each other. I mean, they're scripting the damn thing, Yeah. But
I was just wondering because I hadn't, since the brand split, I never saw it on any articles and never heard anything about it, how they were going to do it.
Well, they haven't officially come out.
Up 2 different times. One time they had it, whoever won Raw, if you were on Raw, you went for the Raw title. SmackDown, you went for SmackDown title. They did it a few times where you got to pick which one you could jump ship. But this time they hadn't said anything.
Well, I tell you what, I don't give a damn if I'm a Raw superstar or a SmackDown superstar. If I win the Royal Rumble, I'm going for that heavyweight championship. Screw that Universal title.
Yeah.
Thing's
That's
ugly.
the one that has the history.
Yeah, that thing's ugly. Let's get into the what we really want to talk about, the 2017 Royal Rumble match. Where the hell do we begin?
I don't even know.
Goldberg,
It's gonna
Lesnar.
be one for the ages.
You want first of all, let's agree with what happened at the end of Raw. Let's start off with what happened at the end of Raw this past Monday. You got Goldberg out there. Did you watch this or were you asleep by then?
No, I was asleep.
Did you read up on it, rewatch it or something like that?
I read up on it.
Goldberg goes into the ring and all of a sudden he's bleeding from his forehead somewhere. Like out of nowhere. I don't know if it happened on his entrance or if he got hit in the head with something. Somebody threw something. I didn't catch it. But he sure was. Blood was streaming down his forehead. And it wasn't a lot. It wasn't like he bladed and cut himself. It was just, I don't know. I was wondering if you had seen anything about that.
I didn't ever see what happened. I saw the picture of him.
I couldn't find an article about it either. So, like, I don't know what happened with it. Anyway. But Goldberg's in the ring, cutting a little promo. Paul Heyman comes out. Introduces the Beast, Brock Lesnar. They get in the ring. It's a stare down. Looks like they're about to go at it, and then all of a sudden, lights cut to black, and you hear that dong.
Oh man!
And the lights come back on. The fans, of course, go ape shit. The lights come back on, and the Undertaker standing in the ring for the first time, standing in the ring with Goldberg, by the way. So that was a cool thing. Of course, him and Brock Lesnar have had some history, and I'm like, oh crap, they're all about to throw down in this thing, but they just stared at each other, and then the show went off the air. So just kind of, I think it was a big tease. Like, if you don't think the Royal Rumble is a big deal this year, take a look at who we're about to send this show off for. You know, all three of these guys are going to be in the Royal Rumble match.
Oh yeah, you can't have them touch. I mean, you got to have the anticipation of this Sunday.
Do you know how loud it's going to get in the Alamo Dome when Undertaker and Goldberg start trading blows?
It is going to be unbelievable. Now, what number do you put them at?
Well, neither one of them can go for an hour, so you're going to put them towards the end.
That's what I'm saying. But what number are they? Because who's to say they even get in there and touch? What if Goldberg's 5 and Lesnar's 20?
I think it would be a huge mistake on WWE's part if
Oh, they're not going to book it that way. I'm just saying what if.
Well, you never know what can happen in the WWE, and especially in the Royal Rumble match. Let's talk about Goldberg-Lesnar, though. Of course, they were kind of favorites to win the match, but I think they'll eliminate each other and probably fight to the back or something like that. Because
I don't see either one of them winning it.
You don't need a title fight they're going to wrestle again at Mania. You don't need a title match for these two guys, but they're definitely going to get their fair amount of eliminations.
Oh, most definitely. Unless they just eliminate each other right off the bat, which could happen too.
True. You know what I want to see happen? So, how about this? Let's just say Goldberg comes in at number 15 or something like that. And there's, just say 4 people in there. I'll throw out some random names. The Miz, Kofi Kingston, 2 other guys, whoever. And Goldberg comes in there and just eliminates all of them in the span of a minute. And he's sitting there and he's screaming, who's next, who's next? And the clock starts ticking down, and out comes James Ellsworth. And he spears that son of a gun out his pants and throws him over. And then it's like, well, who's coming next? And then you hit Brock Lesnar's music.
That would be perfect.
Hire me as a booker, WWE.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you need to start doing this for a living. That would be perfect.
That would be hilarious. Braun Strowman, another big name who could possibly win it, and who I think has a good chance to win it. I don't think he will, but has a good chance. He's going to get his fair share of eliminations too. How about this? Goldberg and Strowman face off, or Undertaker and Strowman face off, or Lesnar and Strowman face off.
Honestly, I see Goldberg or Lesnar. Either one of the other eliminating Braun Strowman.
Or possibly, yeah. I don't think it's going to be a thing where, like, they do to the Big Show every year, where he goes in there and beats up a couple people and then 10 people eliminate him all at once, you know. You could see Sami Zayn possibly eliminate him.
Yeah, you're right. Set up a feud for WrestleMania. But then there's Roman Reigns kick in there too, so you don't never know.
That's
I
true.
don't know which way they're going to go with this.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
That's what's so great about the Rumble.
That's what's so great about the Rumble. Let's talk about this. Seth Rollins technically is not scheduled to be put in the Royal Rumble because he lost his match this past week and they took him out.
Well, I mean,
Here-
being a logical thinker, I'm thinking Triple H is going to be entering in the Royal Rumble. That's where this is going to go with this, and then Seth Rollins is going to cause him to get eliminated. Versus setting up a feud with them.
Yeah. Well, you know what's waiting for Seth anyway. Triple H is waiting for him, and God, please let that feud start because they are just dangling Seth out there right now.
They are. He's too good a performer to be sitting on the sideline waiting on somebody, you know?
Yeah, essentially wrestling meaningless matches every week, you know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this guy, The Undertaker. What do you think? What do you think his chances are?
Actually pretty good. But
For a 52-year-old man to win the Royal Rumble, yeah.
I don't see him bringing him back with all his steam, really, honestly, and not letting him win. But I can't go against my first pick because I said it from the jump.
Who's that? Throw it out.
Jericho.
He's the next name on the list I want to talk about. Why is he going to win the Royal Rumble?
Well, I'm contradicting myself because I said they're going to put the belt on Reigns. But,
if Jericho wins the Royal Rumble, Kevin Owens is definitely still the champion. You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think either that or he wins it at the pay-per-view in February.
Fastlane?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, we'll talk more about that as that gets closer, but Goldberg is actually scheduled to wrestle for that show too, so who the hell is he going to wrestle?
I have not a clue.
This is what makes this so interesting right now.
Well, I mean, maybe, like we talked about before, maybe they do a trilogy with him and Brock Lesnar, where they fight, you know, Brock beats him at Fastlane, and they did the trilogy, best 2 out of 3 at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to complain if I see that. I think I might rather Goldberg wrestle Reigns or somebody like that. Mix it up a little bit. Because you know you're going to see Lesnar and Goldberg again down the line somewhere. Whether it's Fastlane or Mania or whatever. But, hey, whatever. That could be the plan.
I'd be very surprised if Goldberg touches anybody besides Brock Lesnar and it not be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. So back to Jericho.
I think Jericho is sneaky enough to get in there and win it. Pull one of his little fast moves like he does. And the way they've been booking him lately, he's been really strong. And he just kind of seems like a right pick to me. You know, it's the right fit. The time is right for Jericho.
Yeah, and he's never won one. And it's not going to make his career better or worse or whatever if he does or doesn't.
No, he's held every title there is in the WWE.
But he's never won one, so that's interesting. You're going with Jericho. I'm going to go with, since I picked Cena to win the championship, I'm going to go with Taker, and I think they're going to set that up for Mania, possibly an Undertaker's retirement match. Let's throw out a couple odds and ends, guys, before we move on or wrap this up. What about a returning from injury Finn Balor? You think he might be ready to go?
I think that would be amazing, too.
If he returns from injury, I think he's got a good shot to win it. Now, he's gone on record saying that he doesn't know if he's ready to come back yet, medical-wise.
He might be saying that, you know, storyline.
Oh, yeah, they going to always say that.
Yeah. But to see him come back and Roman Reigns beats Owens, and then he wins the Rumble and takes the belt off Roman Reigns, that'd be a good time to turn Roman Reigns heel, too.
Yeah.
That would set up a good Roman Reigns heel time.
And that would validate
the Universal title back on who you wanted to have it from the start.
Yeah, you knock out a lot of birds with one stone right there. And like I said, that would validate. You kind of touched on this. That would validate what they had in mind for Finn, anyway. Because even though he's a smaller guy, he's not that big. He's a superstar.
Oh yeah, amazing in the ring.
So Another guy, let's throw out there, Sami Zayn. I don't think he'll win it, but I think he's a dark horse to win it. I think he could be like the Iron Man guy, the guy who stays in there for 40 minutes. You know.
Sami Zayn kind of reminds me of a young Chris Jericho, if you think about it. Defies all odds, you know.
Yeah.
Except he's a face instead of a heel.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about some of these debuts. You know, the Royal Rumble is always a big chance for people to debut and go out there. I think one that's really a lock is Samoa Joe.
I think so too.
And another guy who could win it if he debuts. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked.
Who's that?
Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe? I don't think he wins it. I think he has a probably strong showing, which that might be one to Braun Strowman to feud with.
Yeah.
A veteran like Samoa Joe could definitely teach Braun Strowman a lot.
There are a lot of guys I want to see Samoa Joe mix it up. One, Brock Lesnar.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That would be a technical.
That would be a hard-hitting affair right there. John Cena is another one. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing him go against AJ Styles again. Of course, they've wrestled plenty of times in TNA. Sami Zayn is a guy I want to see him wrestle. Braun Strowman. Hell, Jericho. Kevin Owens. I mean, there are tons of guys. Finn Balor.
Samoa Joe needs to come on up to the main roster. They need to go ahead and let him come up.
I think he will. Since he lost that title to Shinsuke and he's not on TakeOver this weekend, there's no reason he can't come up.
And then he's another one, like we talked about a while ago, that could have came straight over and done amazing things, but they get him in the NXT for star power.
And you know he's done real well there too. He kind of reinvented himself. He lost he got in pretty good shape too, down there.
Yeah.
Look, before we close this out, anything else you want to throw out about the Royal Rumble match, the card, or anything?
I think it's going to be a hell of an event Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it for a while now.
I think so too.
All the titles on the line, plus the Rumble. I mean, who wouldn't love that? I can't wait.
Who knows what's going to happen? Because I think one thing's evident after this podcast, we damn sure don't.
Nah. We've thought of every scenario you can think of.
Yeah. What to watch? Well, I think you're going to watch the damn Royal Rumble this Sunday.
Yeah, I saw UFC on Fox Saturday night.
What's the main event?
The women. Juliana Pena and I can't remember that girl's name. Saved my life. It's Valerina Shevchenko or something. I can't think what her name is. The girl that beat Holly Holm in the last fight out. Essentially, this will be the number one contender to Amanda Nunes.
Okay. All right.
Donald Cerrone's fighting.
He's fighting?
Yeah. Jorge Masvidal.
I'll check that out then. He's fighting.
And I believe Orlowski is fighting. I can't remember that guy's name either. Francis. I can't remember. But the guy is a physical specimen like you've never seen before. Francis Ngannou.
So we got a good little card for this Saturday on Fox Sports 1, huh?
Oh, most definitely. Francis Ngannou fighting Orlowski is going to be a hell of a fight. Francis Ngannou is probably the top up-and-comer in the heavyweight division. He looks like you chiseled him out of stone.
I have to check it out.
Gigantic. He looks like a pro wrestler. I mean, if you looked at him. Huge guy. I mean, I think in a couple of years, once he gets his feet wet really good, he's going to be a monster in the UFC.
Definitely check that out Saturday night on Fox Sports 1. So watch that.
It's always a good call when Cowboys fighting, too.
Oh, yeah. He puts on a show. Watch that. Watch the Royal Rumble Sunday. As always, follow us, like our page on Facebook. There's the Bell with Max Hawkins and Cody Butler. Give us some feedback. We love feedback, negative and positive.
Most definitely. Just let us know you're listening.
Love to know you're listening. You have to listen on SoundCloud, though. So go download that app. Follow us on Twitter at There's the Bell 17. You can follow me on Twitter at Max Hawkins TTV. Cody, throw yours out there.
I'm not even sure what it is.
Well, you followed me the other day, so I know you have one now.
I do, but I can't remember what it is.
We'll get that out there another time. Anyway, hope you guys.
Cody Butler 5122.
Cody Butler 5122. If you click on the picture, just look for the bald, ugly son of a gun. That's him.
I had hair then.
Well, he's just ugly then. JK. Just kidding. Let's get on with it, man. Everybody have a happy weekend. Be safe out there. A little cool outside today. Good weekend coming up. Thank y'all for listening.